Started, sir. Started.
ಶ್ರೀ ವಿಷ್ಣು ವಿಶ್ವಾದಿಮೂಲ ಮಾಯಾಲೋಲ ದೇವ ಸರ್ವೇಶ ಪರಬೊಮ್ಮನೆಂದು ತಿಳಿದು ಜನಂ ಆವುದನ್ನು ಕಾಣದೊಡಮಳ್ತೀಂ ನಂಬಿಹುದು ಆ ವಿಚಿತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಿಸೋ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. The God has created this wonderful universe. Even though we didn't see that the God has created this universe, still we believe that He created this universe. That is the power of God and the whole universe. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I, Kanchana Hegde, Cultural Coordinator of CICASA Bengaluru, welcome you all to today's live webinar of workshop on Bank Branch Audit with today's topic, Procedure for Restructuring of Loans owing to COVID and Subvention and Hands-on Excel Training. At the outset, I would like to welcome our esteemed CICASA co-opted member, CA Manjunath M. Hallur, sir. So I welcome you, sir, for the seminar.
Thank you so much, Kanchana. Namaste to all.
Now, I take this privilege of welcoming today's session speaker, CA Venugopal Gella. He is Venu and Vinay Chartered Accountants and qualified in the year 2002 by securing All India 45th rank. He is also a certified information security auditor. He is an active speaker at ICA, especially on technology and its implementation challenges. He has built a lot of utilities in auditing using Excel when GST implemented. He has developed a lot of Excel-based free utilities on GST like JSON Reader, creating JSON files. He was behind in the development and managing of cloud application like Tax, Insta, Financials, and others. So I heartily welcome you, sir, for the seminar.
Thank you.
Now I request Manjunath sir to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, Venu sir. Namaste.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to all MC members and especially Kanchana and all the student attendees. See, as I always say, it will be the best session today because I know Venu sir many years, and then I would like to listen to him and then watch him delivering the address as a student again. Nothing more than that, and then over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. There is an echo of my voice to myself. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Not able to hear you.
So Venugopal sir, you are muted, sir.
Am I audible now?
Now audible, sir.
Oh, okay. I don't know when I got muted.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is like I was not audible from the beginning, is it?
Yes, sir. After
Yes, sir.
sharing the screen, you are not audible, sir.
Okay, okay. So what I was mentioning is bank branch audit is typically little different from the regular audits, because in the bank branch audit, you are going to get used to a new terminology, and the branches are going to be, if I have to say, unless other than those who are doing concurrent audit, the bank branch audit is done yearly once. So when you are doing once in a year, you are remembering of the terminology or the process would also be lower to that extent. And memory is the poorest form of existence. If you think that we know, it's like we actually don't know. More important challenge in the bank branch audit is the time limit within which we have to conduct and complete the audit. Unlike in the statutory audit, we would be doing some interim audit, then we know the client day in, day out. If some issues are there, client is going to ask us what for a suggestion or a solution. But that is not the case with the bank branch audit. So you have to spend more time in doing the planning of the audit. When I say planning of the audit, like if you are going to be in the branch for say 5 days, so what is that you have to do? Firstly, you have to know the end output. The end output is the branch statutory audit report, LFAR, signature of a P&L balance sheet, various certificates, issuing MOC. So all those things are output. So you have to read what is that which is being signed, because your entire audit revolves around what that you are signing, the attestation which you are doing, whether they are correct or not. There are other faculties who have explained you LFAR provisions. There are faculty who have explained you IRAC norms. Today, in today's session, I will be spending more time in explaining you how to interpret the data into Excel and build various reports. And one thing I'm sure that all of you are like technocrats, you are hands-on, you will be able to grasp the things much faster as we discuss. However, we have 3 things to discuss in today's agenda. First, on restructuring of the loans. Second, Excel skills that one is required in the bank branch audit. These are the 3 things we are going to deal in today's session. Feel free to put a question in the chat if you have any of the doubts. You have the Q&A section. You can put a question in your Q&A. I will be taking up the question. All right. Now, if I have to ask you, what is the meaning of restructuring of a loan? If a loan is restructured, what does restructuring mean? Generally, we would have heard the restructuring from the Companies Act perspective, where we restructure the balance sheet from various reasons. Can a loan be restructured? The answer is yes, it can be restructured. Now, what is the meaning of this restructuring? Imagine the loan has been taken. Let's take a simple example. I have taken a loan of 1 crore with a repayment of 10 lakh rupees as a principal plus whatever is applicable interest over a period of 10 years. So every year I have to repay 10 lakhs plus interest. Now, if I'm repaying 10 lakhs plus interest every year, suddenly in between there are cash flow issues. Say owing to COVID, I ran into a cash flow issue. I do not have an ability to service either principal or interest, and are both. I might not have an ability to service both. In such a situation, I would be going to the bank and asking the bank, can you restructure my loan? Instead of making an EMI of 10 lakhs rupees a month for 10 years, can we make it as 5 lakhs into 20 years, 5 lakhs plus applicable principal? Or can we just restructure it into a different thing? Meaning, I will keep the tenure as 10 years itself, but first 4 years, 5 years I will pay it 5 lakhs, then I will increase to 10 lakhs, then I will increase to 15 lakhs. Can I do a step repayment so that the cash flows will be easier? Now, this structuring is happening after the disbursal. At the time of disbursement of the loan, the bank gives a structure saying that this is the pattern in which you have to repay. After it is structured and a sanction ticket has been issued, the borrower once again approaches back to the bank asking, I want a restructuring, stating that it is financially not possible for me. So the restructuring can be either economic reason, legal reason, financial issues, whatever be the reason, the bank is granting a concession to the borrower for structuring. Sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes the restructuring could be on higher side also, but very rarely. Now, most of the restructuring is owing to the financial disability of the borrower. Now, when a loan is restructured, what is it happening? I am changing the EMI term. There are two things one should be understanding about restructuring. A restructuring which is done to a portfolio, meaning a large set of accounts, a class of accounts are restructured. For example, RBI says, say for all crop loans, let us reduce the rate of interest from 8% to say 6%. 2% interest rate slashed. What will happen if I assuming that I will continue to pay my EMI? I have taken some tractor loan. I will continue to pay EMI. Originally fixed as 20,000. I'll continue to pay 20,000. My loan tenure in this way reduces from say 10 years to 8 years. So something gets structured. Can this be termed as restructuring? Answer is no. If the reduction is happening to a class of accounts, it is not restructuring. If the reduction is happening only to one specific account, so there is an extension or deferment of an EMI to an individual borrower. When I say again individual borrower, I'm not talking about individual. It could be company, firm, anything. It could be if it is done to one borrower as against entire class of borrowers in that account, that is called restructured account. Now, why are we concerned about restructured account? Is it necessary to discuss on restructuring in the bank branch audit? It is usual for the bank to structure it. But if it is restructured, it means that there is some amount of deficiency. In the asset classification, we always look an asset as performing or not performing. However, there are multiple asset classification. You should definitely be knowing there are multiple asset classification which you will be certifying. The assets could be classified broadly. Generally, what we know is performing and non-performing. But there are guaranteed or secured, unsecured. There are assets funded, non-funded. So the asset classification runs into multiple types of classification. Either by way of performance, we call this performing, non-performing. Another important thing one should be very well aware of and one should definitely be knowing is, in case of an asset classification made as non-performing, it doesn't mean bad. Generally, there is a notion that if someone is classifying as an NPA, so it is a bad asset, better be aware. NPA classification means it is just marking an asset under the principles of conservatism, that I will recognize the interest on that on a receipt basis and not on accrual basis. So if an asset has been become as NPA, it doesn't really mean that it is a bad asset. It ceases to recognize revenue on an accrual basis. That's all. So that is what one has to be very careful. So I've given some of the examples whether an asset is restructured or not. Let's look at one by one. First, there is a concept called rollover. There is a concept called rollover. Now, generally, a short-term loans, if there is a proper pre-sanction assessment has been made, and there is a concept of rollover, so they allow the account to roll over. However, you should be knowing that actual requirement of the borrower in case of the rollover, there is no concession has been given. So the term period is not changed, nothing is changed. Then it is like you are making an interim adjustment. You are making an interim adjustment. You are not changing any terms of the loan. A simple example that, okay, I have to pay it in 5 installments and over the tenure, I am just realigning. Okay, term loan will be paid. There might be, and again, when we look at the classification, it is borrower wise, not facility wise. So there is an amount to be settled in one account has been given to another account. The another account is done a short term rollover. So whenever a short-term rollover is done, it is not restructured. It is not to be treated as restructured because I am not changing the original principles and the terms. However, if this rollover is done more than 2 times, then this needs to be treated as a restructured account. If it's like I am coming to the bank saying that, okay, this month EMI, please defer it and put it into next month, and I'm acknowledging it and doing it, and I'm doing this multiple times, then it has to be necessarily treated as a restructured account. Next, if a loan for which the parties have agreed to alter the terms, and generally it is favorable to the borrower, basically lower rate of interest or the monthly payment. Now this is included in the restructuring definition. In case if the borrower comes back and says that reduce it, there is an obligation on the branch part, the branch manager part, to check that the new sanctioning terms are in line with the approval guidelines. Just because I do not have an ability to service, it cannot be deferred a 10 years loan to 20 years. The financial viability of restructuring has to be necessarily be checked before restructuring is permitted by the bank. If the account is restructured, which means it is downgraded. If there is a downgrading of the asset happens, then it is treated as NPA. It is treated as an NPA, non-performing asset. But if it is done under RBI circular, then the asset remains standard. This is very important, that one has to definitely see the restructuring which is happening owing to a class of asset when it is happening under the RBI circulars, it is going to be remain standard. If it is due to inability to repay, it is going to become downgraded. Now you might ask a simple question, okay, if this is being the law, why is it very important that we need to understand this? Let me give you that. Will system classify an asset as an NPA or not? Let us look at an example. I have borrowed a loan of 1 crore. I have borrowed a loan of 1 crore with a 10 lakh plus interest repayment every year. After the end of the year, the theoretical balance, the expected balance of the loan is 90 lakhs. But interim, I have approached the bank, please restructure, make it into 5 lakhs plus interest amount for a period of 20 years. The theoretical balance of this account is now going to be 95 lakhs. But assuming in the first year, I have paid 6 lakhs. The moment I pay 6 lakhs, the outstanding balance in the loan is 94 lakhs. The expected balance is 95, but outstanding balance is lower than the expected balance. In a normal scenario, you will say that there is no overdue in this account. This account is good and do not mark it as NPA. This is the normal way one thinks it. But in case of a restructured, we have clearly said the asset has to be downgraded. If there is an account is restructured, the asset has to be downgraded, which means if it is a standard asset, after the restructuring, you will make it as substandard asset. You will mark from SA to SSA. So if the system is not handled well, then people think that okay, restructuring can be taken care by system, but here there are many places the restructuring is not taken care by the system. So you have to be very careful in asking to the branch. So you should ask specifically this question: are there any restructured accounts during the year? This is a part of your LFR. You should ask and get it in writing. There are no restructured. Now, can you believe anything in writing? Answer is no. You should ask, can I download a report from the system which will say these are the accounts which are restructured? Please note, bank has a robust accounting system, robust internal control system. Anything you want should be available. It is just that your wisdom is short. You might not ask information thinking that it would not be available, but anything you want for your audit is available in the CBS. We just need to ask for the report. Maybe we really do not know where to go download that, but the report is available in the CBS systems. Then there is a concept of a repeated restructuring. What is repeated restructuring? The nomenclature itself indicates that the account is getting restructured in a multiple number of times. So let's see what is repeated restructuring. If a bank restructures an account second or multiple times during a specified period. So please remember the word given is specified period. Then the account will be considered as repeatedly restructured. Then the account will be considered as repeatedly restructured. But however, please note the second proviso is very important, the second statement. If the second restructuring is happening after the period, after the concession which was given, then it will not be treated as repeatedly restructured account. So within the period, if it is restructured twice, it is repeated restructuring. If the restructuring is happening after the period, then it is not treated as repeatedly restructured. What is this period? The specified period means 1 year from the commencement of the first payment or interest or principal, whichever is later. So if a credit period facility with longest period of moratorium under the different terms of restructuring packages is that you will be picking the credit facility which is having a longest period. I might have term loan 1, 2, 3. You pick the longest term loan which has a moratorium period, pick that. But 1 year from the commencement of the first payment, it is under specified period. So in this period, 2 times you are giving the restructuring, then it is called as a repeated restructuring. Now, why are we talking about repeated restructuring? Then the repeated restructuring will be further downgraded. So you are in classification 1 level, you will put 1 level below. So that is the norms for repeated restructuring. The next thing, can I upgrade an account from non-performing to a performing asset? From an NPA to a performing asset, can it be upgraded? Please note, this is again common mistake that happens in the audit. Even though, let's continue the same example. I have given a loan of 1 crore with 10 years, now restructured to 20 years. So I have to pay 5 lakhs every year. Loan has been given on 1st April 2020. As on 31st March 2021, there is no overdue. Overdue means something falling due. The next day, if it is not paid, it becomes overdue. If something is overdue, then we generally look at whether it is 90 days to classify as non-performing. But in case of restructuring, everything has been paid. He is well within that. Can I treat it as performing? The answer is no. In case of a restructured accounts, an account gets upgraded after 1 year if there is a satisfactory performance. Earlier we have seen that specified period. Now the another terminology is specified satisfactory performance. So if a loan is classified, if the loan is restructured, it has to be marked as NPA for a period of 1 year. After that only it can be upgraded from a non-performing to a performing asset. Next, in case of a regular accounts, why I am bringing the demarcation is you should be knowing that there would be a regular accounts which would have classified as NPA as on 31st December 2020. If you look at the quarterly NPA statement, you might find some an account as NPA, or it was an NPA in the last year. On 31st March 2020, it was NPA, but this year it is not in the NPA because the party would have paid everything. So upgradation from a non-performing to a performing for a regular assets, it will happen if all the outstanding amounts are paid. There is nothing overdue. If there is something overdue, then it will not be upgraded. But in case of a restructuring, for it to be upgraded, you have to wait for a period of 1 year. What is the satisfactory performance we are talking about? The satisfactory performance means in case of a term loans, there is no payment outstanding or overdue for a period more than 30 days. Basically, we are looking at an account. If something is overdue from 0 to 30, it is in SMA 0, 30 to 60, it is in SMA 1, 60 to 90, it is in SMA 2. Okay, these are all special mention accounts. Someone is watching them. So because after 90 days, after the SMA 2, the journey moves to a non-performing, which is substandard. So the expectation is the satisfactory performance means if the account is not in SMA 1 or SMA 2. In case of a CCOD, the drawing power should be lower than the sanction limit. The outstanding should be lower than the sanction limit or the drawing power, and the account is not out of order for a period of 30 days. In case of an agricultural loan, at the end of the specified period, the account should be regular. So there are, in case of an agricultural loan, we know if it is a short-term crop loan, we call it as NPA if for a period of two crop seasons it is not paid. In case of a long-term crop loan, it is not paid for 1 year, so you will be treating it as NPA. So Here, for the satisfactory performance, at the end of the specified period, the account is regular. There are no overdues. Then, if the account is, you have a satisfactory performance and 1 year is completed. So, 1 year is an observation period. Only after 1 year, a restructured account can be upgraded. So, upgradation of a regular account is a different route. Upgradation of a restructured account is a different route. So, you cannot get confused and merge your thoughts for both. This is again common mistake that happens, that people make and mistake in classification of a restructured accounts. The next thing we should understand is MSME loans. In case of an MSME loan, there are little change in the restructuring owing to the new circulars that have been issued by the RBI. What are those circulars? So before going to those circulars, we also need to understand an MSME. Firstly, the definition of a micro entity is something, an entity whose investment is less than 1 crore. When I say investment, it is not share capital or loans, it is investment in plant and machinery. The investment can be from the borrowed funds or from the capital. If the investment is less than 1 crore, it is treated as micro. Investment is less than 10 crores, it is a small entity. Less than 50 crores, it is a medium entity. And the turnover is less than 5 crores. So if it is any of these categories, so only it fits into both the categories, then it will be in micro. Assuming investment in plant and machinery is, let's say, 2 crores and the turnover is also 4 crores, then it will not fit micro, it will fit under small. So you have to see where does it fit. Now, what is the need of knowing this? If they are an MSME, they are eligible for some special incentives that are given by the RBI. We will see them. Let's first understand the master guidelines on restructuring of the advances. First, in terms, if an account is restructured, then you should be knowing the bank cannot restructure suo moto. If a borrower is not paying, the bank cannot suo moto restructure it. For an account to be restructured, someone should ask for restructuring. I, as a borrower, I should actually go to the bank saying that, okay, I need a facility so that I can restructure. Without having a consent application, a restructuring is not permitted. So having a consent application is a must thing. Now, when you are commenting upon the loan sanctioning, credit appraisal, you need to include this. For a credit appraisal, has someone has given the sanction or not, you have to look for it. Next, can the restructuring happen only to a standard asset? The answer is no. Restructuring can happen to substandard, doubtful, any of these assets. It's just that a standard is you are moving to one level down. If you are restructuring a substandard asset, you classify it into doubtful one. You move the category to one level down. It's not necessary that for restructuring it has to be standard asset alone. It can be an unsecured and also it can be an NPA which can be restructured. The only criteria for restructuring is you cannot do retrospective. It always has to be prospective. You cannot now say that, okay, I have restructured it. Now, can I apply this from the earlier and say that, okay, client is in compliance? Answer is no, you cannot make those adjustments. Next, while restructuring proposal is under consideration, the asset classification would continue. It's like I made an application, bank is still thinking on it. So just because I made an application, it doesn't become NPA. The asset classification status as on the date of approval would be very much relevant to decide the asset classification after restructuring, because I said it will slip to one category down. So you have to see it's not necessary that everything will become substandard. Maybe it might become doubtful, doubtful 1, doubtful 2, doubtful 3. Lastly, the bank should make a check on the financial viability and there is a reasonable certainty on repayment of the loan. So restructuring would also require the bank to check that, okay, will the new terms be honored by the borrower or not? If the new terms are not in a favorable way or the new terms are not possible to be honored, then the restructuring should not be carried out by the branch. So the eligibility is done by looking at the cash flows or the projections, whatever which is done. Restructuring should not be done in case if the borrower is indulging in any fraud or any of the malfeasance transactions, not eligible. BIFR cases, not eligible because they are under the board for the financial restructuring. So the bank cannot take up for a restructuring of a BIFR case or including a case which is under IBC. So those cases are not permitted for restructuring. There are 3 stages of restructuring of an advance. There are 3 stages of restructuring an advance. Firstly, before you pre-commencement of your operation. Second, after commencement of the operation. Again, after commencement, it has been classified as a substandard or it has not been classified as a substandard. So the 3 stages, if you look at it, the stage 1 is before commencement of the operations. Say stage 2 is before an asset being classified as substandard. Stage 3 is the asset has been classified. It is after classified as a substandard or doubtful. In these 3 stages where the restructuring is happening. Now, when the restructuring is happening, in case of an asset which is standard, then immediately it is classified as substandard. An NPA account would have the same classification prior to restructuring, but it slips to a lower classification. For example, if you are restructuring an asset, as say let's say it has a classification of substandard. If it is let us say it is classified as substandard, after restructuring the asset would become, from the substandard it would become say doubtful, which we'll call as D1. But if it is D1, after restructuring it will be classified as doubtful too. So like this, the asset will further slip to one level below after the restructuring. The classification would be going to a lower category or lower rate. Now, upgradation to a regular thing can happen after an observation period, that is satisfactory performance and specified period. So after 1 year, of satisfactory performance, then you will see everything is good, then you will upgrade the account to the regular. So during the year under audit for you, you will find the assets where the banks are classifying an asset for a restructuring, or from the restructuring upgrading back to the regular, or from the class it is restructured but not classified as NPA. You will find all category of situations. Just a recap before I go to the general purpose classification. You will find all sorts of loans during the year for a classification. The classification would be a standard asset or a substandard asset. So you should be very careful. If there is no satisfactory performance, then you will not upgrade even though 1 year is done. If you are not finding satisfactory performance, which means the outstanding amount has crossed the 30-day overdue. the outstanding amount has crossed 30-day overdue, you will not upgrade, you will continue to keep it. But it is below the 30-day overdue, then you will apply the original prudential norms. For example, I have slipped it into say doubtful 3, but after 1 year, I am now checking. Now I will apply the original prudential norms. So if the party has paid everything, say only 4 installments are pending, directly from D3, the account moves to substandard. So I am not moving one level above D2 or D1, I am making it to substandard. After the satisfactory performance is done, then I will, that period of the period is done, I am going to check for the original applicable governing norms. In case of additional financing or facility, here little deviation from the regular perception, the classification of an asset is not facility wise, it is borrower wise. But whenever an additional facility is given to a borrower who has a restructuring package, the additional facility is treated as standard. The new facility is treated as standard. However, even though the new facility is standard, the additional finance, the interest income on the additional finance is to be recognized on a cash basis. So I have a term loan, the bank has sanctioned additional term loan. So the additional finance will be treated as standard, but the income would be recognized on cash basis. So this is the one other change. So one should be knowing in case of a restructured accounts. Moving further, if a restructured account doesn't qualify for upgradation, then it should be placed in the same asset category. So the additional finance I have given, initially I said it should be standard, but after 1 year also nothing moved to the restructured account. The additional facility will also have to be reclassified to the original. If the original asset is in substandard, restructured, additional facility will also go to substandard. If the original is in doubtful, the restructured would also go to the doubtful. Whatever is the additional term loan which is sanctioned, it would be going into that category. So just a recap. So a standard asset is becoming substandard, a substandard or doubtful, it becomes a further one level downgrading. Additional facility, a restructured asset will still be standard. In case of the if it is not well within the norm, it has to go back to the original status where it is given. Provisioning norms, even though it is not applicable to you at the branch level, it is only for academic interest, you should be knowing. A restructured asset classified as a standard will attract higher provision more than the prescribed in the first 2 years from the date of restructuring, the additional facility which has been given. In case of a moratorium on payment of interest or principal after the restructuring, then that advance will attract the prescribed higher provision for the period wherever the moratorium is given. If the restructuring is given to a non-performing asset, the asset will further be moving to a next category. So automatically the next category of the provision to be done. So you as a branch auditor, you have to satisfy yourself on the restructured accounts, the classification done by the branch. In the balance sheet, there is a disclosure which is made that the restructure, these are the number of accounts which have been restructured and the amount outstanding in the restructure, the amount of the outstanding is given in the restructured account. Then there are notifications for RBI for the general thing. So before going to the notification, let me see if there are questions. Okay, there's a question from Geeta. What is the purpose behind restructuring? The purpose behind restructuring is giving a facility to the borrower, to move outside the provisions of NPA from the CIBIL. However, if it was a normal case, this account would have anyhow becoming an NPA. It would have become an NPA, but owing to the restructuring, the account has escaped skipping NPA. I really do not know whether the borrower has the financial ability or not. So only for a period of 1 year, I will be keeping under the observation and making sure that this account really is good. If in that 1 year it is good, I am going to upgrade it to the regular term. If I do not restructure, then eternally this account will be under NPA. Hope this answers your question, madam. Then any other questions? Okay. Students, if you have any question, please put in the question in either the chat box or the Q&A. I'll take it up. Now let's look at the notifications. There are various notifications for restructuring which have come. First two, though it is not important now, I would like to just give you a glance that if a restructuring happening under these notifications, then you should be very much aware and knowing that this is not going to become an NPA. If a restructuring of an MSME loan is done inside of these three notifications, because it is not applicable to one borrower alone, it is applicable to class of borrowers. Now, what does this notification mean? First two, when GST was launched, there was a cash flow issue. So for the working capital blockage, because VAT credit or service tax credit moved to GST credit, I could not unanimously use it, and there is a trans 1, trans 2. I have to sell all those for whatever be the reason. So RBI said, okay, I will give you an ad hoc credit or restructure it for this 6 months. You don't need to pay interest EMI. So like that. Likewise, even owing to COVID-19, there were circulars which have come in saying that, okay, let us restructure the loans. So these loans which have been restructured during the COVID period has to be considered for the purpose of restructuring, but not NPA, because it is not done to one borrower, it is done to class of borrowers. I will be taking the circulars in the reverse order. I will be going with the last circular first, which is 6th August 2020. Now, there are conditions, certain conditions which have been prescribed in this 6th August 2020 circular. What are they? Firstly, the restructuring should be complete before your audit date. Next, to do restructuring, what kind of accounts the RBI has given? It said where the exposure, the amount of exposure is less than 25 crores. The 25 crores include fund-based and non-fund based. Non-fund based means bank guarantee, LC, all those, just a promise is given by the bank to say that, okay, I will give you an extended credit in case of some, it could be financial guarantee, performance guarantee, anything. So that is the non-fund based guarantee which is given by the bank. Now, to whom this restructuring is applicable? Restructuring is applicable if the exit was standard as on 28th February 2020. So last year classification was based on 28th February 2020, the classification was made last year. So if the asset was standing as on 31st March as a standard asset, then the restructuring under this scheme is permitted. However, if initially there was a question that came up that this circular is applicable only to a GST registered entities. Later they have extended saying that if they have an exemption that they need not register for GST, even those entities would be considered. If there is any exemption that has been given, those entities would also be considered. Now, if the asset is downgraded between 2nd March till the date of implementation, say in the month of December, someone has marked this account as NPA because this guy did not make any payment, even though it is an NPA during the period. It was standard as on the previous financials, but subsequently it became a substandard. Even though it is a substandard asset, a restructuring for these accounts are permitted. This is a very important provision, so I marked it in the red. Restructuring for these accounts are permitted even though if it is downgraded. Now, the moment it is downgraded, it is restructured, it can be now. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You're audible
All right.
now.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if it was a regular account which is restructured, a standard asset becomes an NPA. But the restructuring is happening through a class of asset owing to a notification, then it will not be downgraded. So please note, if a restructuring is happening through a class of notifications from an RBI to a class of borrowers, a category. Why am I always saying a class of borrowers? It could be a restructuring can be done to say all term loans or OCC or all gold loans. Like here in this case, all MSME loans. So like that, the RBI, it is a category of the asset. So in such a situation, the asset firstly it will not be downgraded. Second, this restructuring they are permitting to a substandard asset also. After restructuring, if as on 31st March 2021, if I find that the account do not have outstanding more than 90 days, there are no overdues more than 3 months, then it will be also be treated as standard asset. So this one should be very careful of. The next thing, from the provisioning perspective, RBI said, please provide these loans, please provide these loans an outstanding of 5% additional outstanding, additional provisioning of 5% is recommended for these loans over and above the regular outstanding. You have to provide this. Now, the instructions which are specified in the circular dated February old circulars. Let us look at the old circulars also. We have seen 6th August circular. Let us look at 11th February circular. Now, on 11th February, the RBI has given one more circular, again saying that do the restructuring, restructuring. Here, the restructuring was permitted for the accounts which were standard as on 1st January 2020. Now, is this circular relevant now? The answer majority no. The answer is majority no. But if the asset was standard as on 1st January 2020 and the restructuring exercise has been taken on or before 31st December 2020, so the banks can choose to use this circular, because the 6th August circular was asking the asset to be standard as on 28th February, that is 1st March 2020. So which means you have a 60 days extended window. So but here the restructuring should have been completed on or before 31st December. The other conditions are again same. 25 crores is the exposure, whether GST registered or not liable to be registered, and the additional 5% will be there. Here the only catch is they are saying that this circular cannot be used if they have restructured owing to the earlier circular. Right now we have seen 11th February, owing to 1st January 2019, if some restructuring is happening. So there was a circular on 1st January 2019. Using that circular, if there is a restructuring happened, then those borrowers are not eligible for restructuring under this category. Let's look at that circular also. Now we are now looking at a circular which is 1st January 2019. What is the circular? This definitely not applicable for the current financial year. However, you need to know this, the loans which have been restructured earlier are again taken for restructuring. Then you have to see whether you will be able to fit for this or not. Please note, in 6th August 2020 circular, the government has said other instructions specified in 11th February circular will prevail. The other instructions mentioned in the 11th February circular shall remain applicable. So someone cannot bypass the 11th February circular, apply 6th August circular and restructure. Generally, banks try to see to how to safeguard their clients. They try to adopt different things. So you should be aware, because you are going to verify a lot of restructured loans during the year. So you have to be aware of this provision. So we have seen the 3 circulars. Now, in terms of restructuring, what is that you have to check? First, check whether there is an agreement, loan restructuring application has been done or not. Please check all the documentation. In the restructuring, there can be an additional security, or the charge has been created or not. You have to check the restructuring. The additional 5% provision we have discussed. Let's move further. Okay. Post restructuring. Okay, this point I am talking specifically to the restructured owing to the RBI circular. So post restructuring, NPA classification will be under IRAC, and it will not be under 1 year waiting period. Then in the financial statements, the disclosure is required, additional provisioning is required, and barring one-time exception, an MSME account which is restructured must be downgraded to NPA upon restructuring. So you are doing any other restructuring, it will be downgraded. and it will slip into progressively a lower asset classification and higher provision as per the NPA norms. There should be a policy from the board. You should ask the branch what is the policy. Not necessary that RBI has given, so you have done. It should be approved by the board. A policy will be there, and within 1 month from the approval, it should have been communicated to the borrower for asking that this is the policy. Next important thing, after restructuring, the reporting to CIBIL or any other credit bureaus. Generally, when a loan is restructured, it gets reported to RBI regularly, automatically, the CIBIL and other boards. The moment when it is reported, people automatically know that this is an NPA and score comes down. But here now the government said that in case of these MSME loans restructured, they said instead of using the word restructured, use this in the credit facility for status. They are saying that please write down that restructured owing to COVID in consumer bureau, in the commercial bureau, or if it is an MFI bureau, okay, in any of these. So MFI is microfinance lending institutions. So in any of these, the account, wherever the status of the account, they said put it as restructured due to COVID-19. So why are they saying that restructured owing to COVID-19? If someone looks at it, that they know that okay, this is a relief package given. Second, it should not be treated as an NPA. It is a standard asset. So friends, these are the various provisions on restructuring. Where do we report this in LFR? Let's understand what do we report this under, where all the LFR. There are questions listed in the LFR. First and foremost, you will be asking, are there any accounts restructured or rephased during the year? And have these been reported to the controlling authority of the bank? So the reporting to a controlling authority is automatic. However, if in the system it is marked as restructured, if you are finding an account has been regular, it is not marked as restructured, it means that it is not reported to controlling authority. Branch manager suo motu has taken the decision. Then whether the RBI guidelines have been followed for restructuring, you have to sample, you have to do a test check of the cases and say yes, they have been followed. Very important that the branch is in compliance with the stressed asset and the board policy, and tracking and reporting of the defaults for the resolution purposes among them. Whenever, as I said in the earlier, just because the borrower has a financial difficulty and cannot repay the loan, you cannot suo motu restructure it or make a 10-year loan to 20-year. You have to check whether the financial ability is there or not. Upgradation, is it well within the RBI norms? So 1 year waiting period, they have done or not? If you are not okay with upgradation, you have to give the reasons for yourself. This is on reporting under LFR. Let's see if there are any questions before I move to the next topic on certification, interest subvention related circulars. Any questions to anyone so far? We have completed restructuring, the first part of the discussion. We will be going to the second part of the discussion, which is on loans attracting the subvention schemes. Okay. I don't see any question in the chat box or the Q&A. Let's move to the second topic, subvention. So there are circulars which are relating to interest subvention. What is interest subvention? Is a lower interest. So this interest subvention is there for agricultural sector and the education sector, both agricultural and education sector. There are various circulars which I have given. Apart from this, you might find an additional certification requirement in a state specific. If the state government in during their regime, they have given a subvention, that is waiver of an interest or reduction in the interest owing to either floods or famine or any of those, owing to any of those, if there is any reduction given by the state or the central government, by way of certificate, we have to quantify how much is the interest that is subvention is being permitted, and who are the borrowers or the customers or the beneficiaries of this subvention. There are two things under the interest subvention: a fresh loan which is given, or the loan which is for a prompt repayment. A fresh loan either in the IS interest subvention, or it is a prompt of for example, if it is foreign studies, they have given one circular, and if it is in India, there was a notification given for the scheme for backward and other classes. There is a scheme for in case of education. So let us look at both the schemes. First, crop loans. In crop loans, the interest subvention or prompt repayment incentive, this was given if someone has freshly taken a loan. Say, let us say the government would announce the crop loans interest rate should be only 6%, but the bank rate of interest is, let's say, 8%. Who will bear this differential 2%? The government. But the government might have said that, okay, owing to the prompt repayment, let us give a discount. I will bear 50%, you bear 50%. Like that, there are various schemes will get released time to time. So, or within the renewal happened within the time, all those things will be considered. Now, this interest subvention, though the new loans have been, the subvention for the new loan scheme has been stopped. It was there in 1819 and 1920. In 2021, for the new loans, it is not there. But however, the prompt repayment incentive, that continues. So every year you repay your outstandings promptly, there would be a further reduction in the interest rate to give an appreciation so that they repay the interest on time. Now, what is specific about that in this year? In the current year, owing to COVID, we have seen that there is a waiver of interest. Okay, waiver of interest is a wrong word. There is a deferment of interest. Now, what is the deferment of interest? They said starting from the March till August, please do not classify any account as NPA. Do not stress upon any repayment. Do not mark an account as do not classify an account as NPA. If they are financially stressed, grant an additional emergency term loan, 20% of the existing outstanding. After all that, by December, in August, we got the circulars for rescheduling. So use any of these methods. Now let's see, in case of a prompt repayment, what happens? Everyone is paying their principal and interest on a timely basis. Every month they are paying the principal and interest. Then they are eligible for, say, 2% prompt repayment incentive, a 3% prompt repayment incentive. Now, what did RBI say? RBI said the benefits of 2% interest subvention or 3% prompt repayment would be there. And for the last year, they said even though the money comes as on May, so we are talking about something which was due in February and March, if it is paid in May also, please take it up. But however, they said they have extended this to short-term loans up to 3 lakhs per farmer. So in these cases, they have extended. Then the next circular, owing to COVID, since there was the repayment was deferred, they have said for all the crop loans, gold loans up to June, even though the interest did not come on time, as on March subsequently you got it, you pay the prompt repayment interest. So these are all the prompt repayment interest or the interest subvention certificate schemes one should be aware of. Next, education loan interest subventions. In case of an education loan, basically these are central government schemes. There are two loans, two types of loans. One is Pado Pardesh. So if someone wants to go to abroad and study, so there is a cost of education is high. What type of loans have been approved? In case if it is a master's degree, MPhil, PhD, these degrees have been awarded for deferment of the subvention, which means a lower rate than the original rate. And in case of an education loan, the peculiarity of it is during the period of their study, they will only be paying interest. Post period, when they get on to the employment, they will start repaying the principal also. So the eligibility is for admission to masters. They should have availed a loan from scheduled bank under this education loan scheme, and they should be applying for the benefits during the first year of their course itself. And fresh applications received in the second year or subsequent year will be, education loan will be granted, but this Pado Pradesh scheme will not be applicable. Get this fit under this scheme, the family, the guardian or the parent's income should be lower than 6 lakhs per annum. So those who are drawing a salary less than 50,000 per month are eligible to be part of this scheme. Now, what is the interest subvention in this? Generally the interest is payable for the period of moratorium. So whatever the course period is, and then 1 year or 6 months after getting the job, from that point the repayment will start. The post moratorium, the candidate will be bearing both principal and interest. So the government will say, if there is a prompt repayment, again I will give a subsidy. It's not that everything will be borne by the government, some lower interest. So encouraging them to pay on a prompt payment. The second education loan which is there for the interest subsidy is Dr. Ambedkar Central Sector Scheme of Interest Subsidy.
Voice not audible, sir.
So this is given for the backward class or economically weaker section students. This is given. So these are the interest subsidy schemes which are available to the borrowers. Any questions to anyone in understanding what is a prompt repayment or the interest subvention? And from the purpose of the audit, what is that you have to do? You will be certifying a fixed amount, saying that so much is the interest subvention applicable now. So from the audit perspective, you have to list, extract what branch would have been making a workings. So you extract those workings, check whether they are eligible for all subventions or not. Look, they are filling all the criteria or not. You have to do a sample check. You have to have an annexure for each item which you are signing. With this, we have come to the end of the second part of our discussion also, which is interest subvention. Any doubts to anyone before we move to the third part of the discussion? Participants, you are there? If you are there, just type yes in the chat. Otherwise, you are just switched on and
No doubts, sir. For me.
Uh,
It is crystal clear. Yeah. I guess someone is asking in chat box.
Okay, what if the student fail in the final year and wait for one more year to get the job? How does it affect the payment? Okay, very good question. So that is why the repayment which is set here is the course period plus 1 year or the 6 months after getting the job, whichever is earlier. Now, if the student is failing in the final year also, he has this 1 year window. And if he is getting a job, then whatever is the job date plus 6 months window. So whichever is earlier, he will be eligible for Pado Pradesh scheme. For restructured loans, the provisions begin after 1 year. No. For a restructured, okay, depends on what type of restructured loan. If a restructured loan is within the RBI circulars, master circulars for the COVID relaxation for this year, then the restructured loans will have the NPA provisions in a regular way. It will not be downgraded. So at the end of the year, you will just check whether the 3 months overdue concept is what you will check. But if it is specifically restructured for one borrower, then it will be treated as an NPA from the date of restructuring. So the provision will automatically be arising. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Can a gold loan be restructured? The answer is yes. If it is fitting under the COVID thing, because there are agriculturalists who take the gold loan also. Uh, Generally, the gold loans have this bullet repayment of 1 year thing. Anything which fits under that scheme can be restructured. And anything is restructured outside the scheme is deemed NPA after the restructuring. There is a question from Anil, we answered that. Then question from Geeta. Restructured will attract provisioning but not be classified as NPA. Again, I would classify into two categories. Restructured under the master circulars of the RBI for COVID will not be classified as an NPA but will attract the higher provision, additional 5%. But restructured otherwise will be classified as NPA. This is how one should be interpreting. So when you ask the restructured loans during the year, you segregate into two categories. In one category, you will be having a non-NPA higher provision. In another category, it will be an NPA with the regular provision. Okay, questions are only into chat box, not in Q&A. No problem. Okay, students, what we will do is we will now turn to the next part of the session or the last part of the session. I said I will want to spend more time in this part, which is using Excel in the bank branch audit. So what we will do is we will take a 10-minute break now, so that you get your you come back with your systems. And in the systems, what I would want you to do, let me just share the Excel so that Okay. So let us create an Excel, so that I'll just create one Excel and you can come back. What you can do is we can just create one small data set, so that this you will be using it for what I will do is I'll divide Excel into two sets. I'll make it as hands-on so that you understand the provision. Later I will be working on the real data. So let us say there's a serial number, there's a loan number, loan name, borrower name, advance date, and amount outstanding as on 31st March 2021. Okay, so let us create a small set, and I'll give time to each and everyone so that you can also understand, because it is very important that you do it hands-on. I'm just creating a small set. So Akhila, M, Amit, Gore, Anil, Kumar, sorry, borrower name. You can type anything. There's not necessary that you have to type what I'm typing. You can type anything. Priyanka. So I'm just creating some loan numbers. And let's say gold loan, agri, crop loan, KCC loan, CCOD, tractor loan, vehicle loan, business OD, machine loan, home loan, personal finance, credit card, TOD, SB TOD, term loan. So I've just created some loan. When is the loan sanction? Let's say 8th May 2016, 5th September 2020, 6th July 2012, 5th March 2002, 4th June 2019, 31st March 2020. Let's say these are the dates on which the loan has been granted and the amount outstanding. I'm again taking some random number. This is the amount. So it's what we will do is we'll take a 10 minutes break. You just prepare a small data set like that. We will look at all the possible functions which you will be applying in the bank branch audit, which you should be knowing. So I will teach you all those functions. After that, I will take the actual loan file and we will work accordingly. So let us assemble back in 10 minutes from now. Manjunath sir, 10 minutes, we'll take a break and come back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, do we start the session?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Students, so you would have by now created a small Excel file like this. So what is that we have to learn and understand in in Excel while doing the bank branch audit? Now, why Excel? Because Excel is something you all know and you are proficient in, and it has various capabilities available in Excel, especially for doing the data analysis, making the data ready for the documentation. All this available in Excel. So that is why we always suggest, okay, use an Excel tool, so it's easy for you to extract the data. What are the things which we are going to look is conditional formatting, the date formatting, if formulae, concatenation, VLOOKUP, graphs, flash fill, SUMIF. These are the various things we are going to look today. Importing of data to Excel, we are not going to work together. It is not going to be hands-on. I will be explaining as I do it. What we will be doing is conditional formatting and other details. So let's start one by one. Let's keep that list of the formula that you are going to do. Let's come to the Excel. Okay. Now, in this Excel, which you are seeing, let's see in the Excel, assuming you have let's list. Please, first and foremost thing, whenever you are working in the bank branch audit, name convention is very important. Just see what is the file name you have given. Is it new workbook? Please change it. If the sheet name is given as sheet name, please change that. And whatever we have to do, you can use shortcut. Let me also put a notepad, and whatever we are doing, I will keep telling you can also make notes. Firstly, you can just double click or change it, or Alt-O-HR is rename. You can say source data. That is what we can use. I am giving you older version of Excel because it will work in XLS version or XLSX from 97 onwards. Any of these commands would work. The next thing, whenever you have the data, you have to copy. Just use Control and create the new thing so that you do not change this. So I'll say loan file. I've created a copy of it. In just drag and drop or right click, move or copy, create a copy, and just say okay, a file gets copied. Change the name. So the next thing always do is create a copy before working. Next, for applying pivot tables, we always have the data in columns, rows without any headers being empty. Always have a blank column inserted so that you know what is the source data. Let's say this is the source data. After this you have worked on. Let us start working one by one. First thing is loan type. I want to get the loan type. Gold loan is a term loan. This is also a term loan. This is OCC. This are, I'll say, cash credit. This is also cash credit. This is also term loan. There are small lists. It's easy for me to type. But when the list goes up, how do I type it? It's like very difficult. So the formula we will be using is VLOOKUP. Now, before I use VLOOKUP, let me show you how the formula is. What is the VLOOKUP formula? So in VLOOKUP, you have a data set From the data set, you will extract and get the value that you want to look for. Now, how does this work? Copy this list of the loans. Please work along with me. Create it into a new sheet. Create that into the new sheet. Change the sheet name to master. Change the sheet name to master. So here I am typing loan name and I am typing loan type. I am typing loan name and loan type. Let me just remove the grid line for the ease of our understanding, and I am putting it into grid lines. Now there are duplicates in this. How do I find the duplicates? Go to your home, conditional formatting, highlight cells, duplicate values. Go to the home, conditional formatting, highlight cells, duplicate values. The moment you click that, the duplicate values are colored with some color. So how do I remove the duplicates? For example, I delete this gold loan. Automatically, you can see the top went out. I deleted tractor loan, it deleted. So easily you can identify if there are duplicates in your data or not. Now to remove duplicates, you can go to in your data section. If you go to here in your data section, under data tools, you have remove duplicates. So select the data, you hit this remove duplicates in your data section. Okay, so the duplicates have been removed. So to remove duplicates, go to data section, data tools, and remove duplicates. So this is how one will remove the duplicates. Now here let us give this is my term loan, this is term loan, cash credit, term loan, cash credit, term loan, cash credit. Okay, there is a spelling mistake, so you can just find replace also you can do. Okay, so this is our loan master. Now let's see how VLOOKUP works. Basically, if I say vehicle loan, let's say vehicle loan. Okay, auto fit column width is Alt OCA. Auto column fit is Alt plus O plus C plus A. There are multiple ways to get it. This is older thing. It works in different versions of Excel also. Now, what is the loan type? If I want to get my loan type, is equal to VLOOKUP. Follow the formula carefully. You type along with me, is equal to VLOOKUP. Open the bracket. It is asking for lookup value. I want to look for vehicle loan. It is asking where you want to look. Give the comma. It is asking table array. Select this table. Select the table. Then it is asking column index. So which column you want to get this data? I want the data in second column. Please select the second column. Then you want a exact match or approximate match. Always give it as exact match, which is either false, or you can type it as 0. You can type it as 0. Now you can see it is automatically coming as term loan. If I type CCOD, it is coming as cash credit. So all of you are able to get the VLOOKUP formula. All of you are able to get it. Okay, so whenever you are copying in VLOOKUP, the challenge is as you copy down, the data table also moves down. So to freeze the data table, you should always use a dollar symbol before the data. Before the data, you should use a dollar symbol. Easier way to get the dollar symbol is you can just type F4. You type F4, automatically the dollar symbol is frozen. Now you can see, even if I go 10 lines down also, the data for which I am looking is frozen. Were you all able to get the VLOOKUP formula? Anyone had any doubt? Any doubts? Someone mentioned voice is not audible. I hope I'm audible. Okay. If you have got VLOOKUP value correct, just put it as yes in the chat. So the VLOOKUP is VLOOKUP, select the value you want to look, select the data set, which column you want. Here I want column 2, so I'll be giving 2, and you want exact match, please put it as 0. Now, what is the challenge with this VLOOKUP is, let's first do this, then I'll explain you the challenge. Now, the important thing, I want it here in my loan file. So I will apply this in my loan file. I'll say VLOOKUP this loan, comma, where is the data? It is in my master table. I'm selecting this and I'm freezing the data. So F4, comma 2, comma 0, it's in the second column. So I am just copying the whole data set. So I have copied whole data set, automatically it has come. So please check whether you are able to get the loan type or not for yourself. Here, the challenge when you are trying to review it at a later point, you really don't know where is this master, this thing. Another way to give the data set in VLOOKUP is by giving reference. It is by giving a reference to the name. So you can also call this as, I am selecting whole data. Please watch carefully. I am selecting whole data, and on the right side of my screen, this where E5 you are seeing, I am saying it as loan classification. So I just said loan classification. Here in my loan file, instead of now using, so let me now, instead of using this, I will say is equal to VLOOKUP, select the loan, and I have typed it as loan classification. Automatically that has come. I'll just press a tab, it gets selected. If you don't even know, you forgot what you have typed, then you can press F3. It will still show you list of the people, list of the names that you have created, comma, U1 second column and 0. So this is how you can use the VLOOKUP to get the loan data. Hope you all have got the loan classification information. Have you brought your loan type into your loan file? Yes, put it as yes in the chat. Have you brought the loan type in your loan file? Great. Now, when is this loan sanctioned? Okay. The first gold loan, Akhila, it is sanctioned in 8th May 2016. If it is sanctioned in 8th May 2016, which financial year this will be? Please type it in the chat. The first loan, when is the loan sanctioned? In which year this, in which financial year this loan is sanctioned? This is sanctioned in 2016-17. Shweta has given it right. Now, I want system to identify in which year this loan has been sanctioned. Is there a way can a system identify this? Let us look at it, because we would be needing it again from the assessment perspective. So here, let me do the next thing is start date, end date, period. For example, 1st April 2000. Let me zoom this for the benefit of others. Yeah. So start date is mentioned as 1st April 2000. Whenever you see data like this, first and foremost, right click, format cells, go to your number. Right now it is in the date. Go to custom. This M, make it as 3 M's. We don't know is it 4th Jan or 1st April. Sometimes it would be a confusion. So you should make sure you do this. And the end date, it is 31st March. I can give 31st March 2001. So this is the end date. Can the system automatically give end date looking at the start date? Answer is yes. To get the end date, use EO month and the number of months. So here I will use a formula EO month. I will select, sorry, here I want end date for this, comma 11. If I give comma 0 April and 1 May and 2 June and is like it is adding number of months to your start date. The next year start date is 31st March plus 1, which is 1st April 2001, and end date is 31st March 2002. What is the period for this? This is equal to year of this. This is 2000, and we want year, and we want year of this, which is 2001. So it is year of this, and so we are now using concatenate. To use concatenate, you should use the use and symbol, and if you want a date, if you want text, use the separator double quotes. Let's see, I'll say year of this and year of this. So it comes as 2000, 2001. But I want little hyphen in between. It looks good. So what you do is you can insert a double quotes hyphen and this 2000 and 2001, 2001, 2002. So now you can automatically write the data. So you can, I can just create the data set. So till all right. So please create a data set like this quickly. Now let us understand what is the advantage of this. Why are we asking this? Here we had this 8th May 2016. 8th May 2016. So let's look at the period for it. Now we have earlier seen that example of creating the name manager. So I'm doing the same thing here. Instead of every time figuring it out, I'm selecting the whole of data. I have selected whole of data. I have said is date range. Date range I've just given. So here now I'm using same VLOOKUP formula. This, the table array, I am saying date range. I want the, it is there in the third column. I'm asking for the third column. Here, instead of an exact match, I am asking for approximate match. Either I will use true or I will use 1. Can you see the moment I give 8 May 16, it gives 16, 17. Let's look at 1st April 16, it will give you 16, 17. 1st April 17 is given 17, 18. 31st March 18 is 17, 18. So the data has automatically, it is now period is coming automatically. So in my loan file now is equal to Vlookup. I would select the advance date. In my date range, I want the third column. In my date range, I want the third column with an approximate match. Now, can you all prepare the date, the loan sanction for your data set? In your data set, you guys got it? So someone are saying that can't hear, maybe just check your system, because
Voice is audible, sir.
voice is
and
audible.
screen.
Yeah.
Voice and screen.
Okay. If any one of you got this, the period, just please type it as yes in the chat. I expect students to do little faster than me, because you guys are technocrats. You are born with the technology. How many of you have got the loan period? Please put it as yes in the chat if you have got it. Bhuvan Chandra says no, but you should also say where you did not get it. Formula is simple. We look up, select the date in the date range. Data is in third column, so I have given 3, 1. You can look at it here in the master file. So if you look at it, this data is selected. So you can see automatically the dates are coming. If you have not got it, you should give what you where you got stuck. If you have got it, put it in the chat as yes. Please show once again date period formula. Yes, sir, here is the formula. Formula is simple. If someone are saying I am little fast, you got to stop me wherever you are. Okay, formula for the end date. How did I get end date? It is basically EO month, select the start date, comma 11. I mean, it's like end of the month after the 11 dates. It is this. How to get the period? Period is simple. It is year of start date and year of end date. I can see Akhilesh, Amit, Balamurli, Bhargav Reddy, Bhuvan Chandra, BSD Venkatesh, Geeta, Haripar Prasad, Janardhan, Krishnapriya, Madhu, Manohar. You guys have to respond. Priya, Hegde, Raghuveer, Ramya, Sunil, Sukshma, Venkat, Uttank, Harita, Yashwant. It's like you can in the bank, you can't try to figure out how you will get this. Okay, Amit says he got it. Very good. Anyone else got the period, or are you stuck somewhere? Okay, Harivara Prasad got it. Madhu Air got it. Prakash got it. Great. So now you got the data in an properly organized format, right? Now this is a smaller set, easy to see and manipulate, but when the data goes large, how will I handle it? So when the data goes large, the way you will handle it is you will use pivots. You will use a pivot table. Now pivot table is very simple, and this is what it is going to handle. Pivot tables, either you can insert under data a pivot table, or use a shortcut function Alt plus D plus P. So I am selecting this, and you press Alt DP. So it will come, a pivot chart would come. You can explore next, and this is the data you want to give the pivot. Yes. In a new sheet or an existing sheet, I'll say new sheet and finish. Whenever you are getting the pivot, please change the sheet 4 to pivot of loan file. Pivot of loan file. Now, how will you understand pivot tables? Shortcut again, for those who did not get it, is Alt plus D plus P is the shortcut. The way pivot tables work is, this is like a matrix reporting. Whatever you want to do, you will do it in a very simple, simplified way. In this case, you want to see the loan type. You want to see the loan type. Okay, there is in master, there is something cash credit still there. Yeah, you can see that is why it has come. Yeah, in my pivot now, right click and refresh, you can automatically see the, yeah, it got. And my borrower and the amount outstanding. Now you can see in quickly you got whether this is a cash credit account or what type of account. Or you want by loan name. You automatically got by loan name. So under each type of loan, let me just minimize, right click, collapse entire field. Then you can sort this data also. You can say home, largest to the smallest. Okay, you know, okay, this branch has a lot of tractor loans. Then there are CCOD, business loans. So this is how the bank is structured. And you know, more than 10% are outstanding more than 10 crores, you have to give an audit. Here the portfolio of the bank is 8 crore 50 lakhs. So 10% of it is 85 lakhs. Any loan amount outstanding 85 lakhs, you have to give a detailed annexure to LFAR. So advantage of pivot tables, in one snapshot, you will get analysis of the business. It's like when I looked at my loan file, I never knew that the tractor loans was the highest for this branch, and CCOD was the highest for this branch. But now it will automatically, in a quick view, I get to know this. Even more interesting, when is these loans sanctioned? When the loans have been, like if I want to know the age of the loans, when are these loans sanctioned? So if I see all the loans equally sanctioned, so let me sort it. So the loans have been sanctioned in 2001, 8, 9, then 12, 13. So here on there is, so which means there's one loan which got struck. Otherwise, after that, everything has been a recent loans which have been issued. So this is how you are able to see the different type of data analysis in the Excel very easily. In the Excel, you are able to see this very easily. So you guys have prepared pivot table. Anyone had struck? If you got pivot table, please type it as yes in the chat. Okay, Bhargav already got it. Bhuvan Chandra got it. Anyone struggling to create a pivot table? Students, this is the last opportunity for you to get your hands dirt wet before you do the audit. Sagar got it. Madhu Air got it. Others, where are you getting? Where are you struggling? Sir, changing the name to ears and heads. Yeah. So how is this changing happening? Basically you have on my right side of the screen, right below. Let me zoom this. On my right below, right side corner, you can see there are changes which are happening. I am removing, say, loan sanctioned here. So I can remove this. I can get my loan name. The moment when I do it, on my left side, you can see the loan sanctioned year has removed and the loan type has come. So you select the pivot table, right side you have the field enabling, you will automatically get the adjustment that you have to do it. Yeah. All right. Any other questions in the chat? Let me see. Okay, couple of people got it. Pretty good. Now let us understand the another two important formulas, if formula. Okay. In the loan file, let us understand here. Do I need to do a detailed audit? Do I need to do a detailed audit? Now what we have said is, if the outstanding is more than 85 lakhs, so if it is outstanding more than 85 lakhs, I have to do a detailed audit. So is this outstanding more than 85? It is false. Can you see, wherever it is true, it will give true, else it is false. But I want it more like an answer. So I'll use this command called if, open the bracket, select this amount outstanding is greater than 85 lakhs, 85 followed by 5 zeros. If it is greater than 85 lakhs, then that is comma. What do I want? Then LFAR annexure, double quotes, else, again one comma, else no audit. And now I am copying the day all the way down. So in my pivot data, I can right click and I can expand the thing, or on the top I can go here, change the data source till it was included only here. Now I am saying please include it, all this, the thing I am saying. Now right click and refresh it. Get this, the detailed audit is applicable. So detailed audit is applicable in tractor loan, business loan and personal finance. Okay, who is this borrower? Get the borrower details. In tractor there is one person, in business there is one person, in the finance loan there is one person. So you also have the person name. You can change the field setting to tabular form also. So you can see these are the three people where the loans you need LFAR annexure. You can just give it to the branch. Sir, I need last audited annual report, everything for this party automatically. So quickly get an answer for you. Okay, in my case, I have given more than 85 lakhs. In your case, you just look at whatever is the outstanding, more 10% of it, you take it and apply whether you are getting an if formula or not. Let's see. Anyone has a doubt in if formula? So if amount outstanding is greater than 10% of the total portfolio, then LFR annexure, else no audit. Okay, Sagar got it. Who else got it? Okay, Janardhan got it. Bhuvan got it. Bhargav got it. Venkatesh got it. Very good. So now you are able to apply if formula, concatenation, pivots, everything. The last one, let us look at graph. Building a graph. Building a graph is important to understand the trend analysis of the data. For the ease, I'm just taking the data, basically the advanced data I have taken, and so basically if you look at so there are various loans sanctioned in the various months. Now I can just select the, let's say these are the periods. These are the periods and loan sanction. I'm just copying the loan sanction. Now I can just select this data and go to the graph. Go to the graph, insert a recommended chart. It is a line chart. You can quickly see, okay, chart is inserted. So you can quickly see a chart is inserted. Now this indicates for you that okay, especially when you have to comment upon whether there is any window dressing. So you can take the loans and outstanding as on set 25th of March, 25th March to 10th April. You can take what is the loan balance and deposit balance, and you apply a graph. If you see a spikes, that indicates there is a window dressing. So you can quickly comment upon that. This is how you can just prepare a graph. You just select the data, headers and the top. Under your insert, you can go to the chart and insert a chart, line chart, bar chart. Best is you click on recommended. Looking at the data, system itself will tell what is the recommended chart for it. So you guys were able to prepare one small chart. Any chart with any data you can only prepare. Okay, one person got it. All right. So now let's just see whether we have covered all the formula. We look up if, pivot, conditional formatting we have done. So let us now go to the real data. Let me go to the real data. Here is one sample data. Here is one sample data for us. Okay, so you can see there is a loan file. There is a loan file, and when I open, there's a lot of data in it. There's a lot of data in it, and this is how you will get. Either the file will be in CSV, .zz, or a text file. So let me just do a working. In my Excel, I'm opening, I'm browsing wherever the data is. I'm just copying and navigating to that path. And here I actually don't file that file. So what you do is in your all Excel files, you give all files. you will see this text file. I'm opening this loan file text file. Most of the times this is CSV, which is comma separated file. Most of the times this is CSV, which is comma separated file. So you will have to, when the data is separated by a comma, you use this delimited, give next, give it as comma. 99% of the data is all comma separated file, and give date can be aligned in the date format, and just give finish. So now you got a data which has come. When you get the data, first thing you have to do is save this file, because this is a text file. If you forget to save, all the workings that you have done will go for a big loss. So save the file and save. In fact, when you save it as Excel workbook. Make sure you save it as Excel workbook and say loan workings for branch 1, whatever you type the thing. So data has come in little haphazard, various things, absolutely nothing to worry. This we need to now streamline. Again, change the file name to as dump. This is the original data. Make a copy. You select control and just drag and drop. You got a copy. You now say loan file. How do I you have to do formatting. What you do formatting, you have to remove blank lines, everything. Always you find this header, delete this header. So header is deleted. When you go down, you will see the lot of data without the header. So always freeze the header. For the formula for freezing the header, freeze header is Alt plus W plus F. So Alt WFF. And now let me auto fit. So some data auto settings have been. Check whether there are any empty columns. So there is an empty column. Please remove if there are any empty columns. There are 2 empty columns. I have removed it. And after the end, just insert a blank column. So you know that data right side of this is what you worked. Data left side is what it is been given by the branch. If first and foremost, I don't even know what is this loan name. For Bhagyama, it is OD loan. For Vidyasagar, OD loan. For Nagesh, it becomes joint loan. So how do I fix this, whether it is OD loan or whatever? We have learnt if command. So I will say loan type. How do I get the loan type? Now there are multiple ways. If this is empty, then this is the loan type. If this has a value, then I can pick the value. I can write is equal to, if this is empty, then you get this. If there is a value, you take this value. So now if you can check, in one go, we have just filled whatever is the loan type for all the loans. And whenever you are using if formula and doing it, tomorrow the data gets changed. It's always, once you are satisfied the data has come correctly, always freeze the data with pay special values. So pay special value is Control C and Alt E S V, or you can just give right click and play special value. You can do any of that. So I have made it as absolute value. So apply a simple filter and remove the blank cells. While removing the blank cells, just see if there are any borrower is removed. Okay, remove the blank cells, the data is removed. Now let's see how does my data would look like. Okay, it is looking little better compared to that original thing. Now we have to still further apply various things to this. Quickly get in hold of this bank. So I will apply a pivot. I will apply a pivot. I will say loan summary. Pivot is the easiest thing. I will say loan summary. I will say by loan type and the balance outstanding. Okay, so now I quickly got that this branch has an outstanding balance of 1 crore 46 lakhs. And how many customers are there? Okay, I can get the borrower name here. Okay, it says 1300 borrowers. There are 1000, you can see here, there are 1300 borrowers with 146 crores 51 lakhs as the advance. Okay, now what do I need to do further? Identify is it an NPA or not. Here you can see there is a standard, substandard, D1, D2, D3 loss. So I will say is NPA. Now I am writing a command, check whether it is NPA. If my value which is standard is greater than 0, then not NPA, else yes NPA. So I have just written a command and a simple F whether it is NPA or not NPA. Let's zoom it. Let me zoom it for you. Now if you see this, if this value P2 is greater than 0, then I am saying not NPA, else NPA. Include that in your loan summary. Go to pivot table data analysis, increase the data range. Okay, for the ease, I know that I'll increase the data. I'll add something. I'll just put something till AD, and in my loan summary, in my data range, I will now increase from V till, sorry, this V, I am changing it to AD. I change this on my right side, you can see on my right side, you can see after the other D1, D2, D3, automatically all these additional numbers have come. System has automatically taken. So now I want to know how much are NPA, how much are not NPA. So I'll bring is NPA here. So then I'm able to see there are 598 accounts not NPA, which is 56 lakhs, 710 accounts which are NPA, which is 90 lakhs. So this is really a worrisome. So okay, this branch is a high risk portfolio branch. Okay, you want to know when it has become NPA. So let us, we did that Vlookup. So let us create one master assumption sheet and let's pick this is the sheet which we have done for the date. So I am bringing the date here. Okay, so this till I will say 31st March 2005. So I have given till 2005 as the old loans, after that like a fresh loans. Now in my loan summary, sorry, loan file, I will update sanction year, NPA year. So let us give as usual that name, date, period. So in my loan file, when is it sanctioned? We look up This has been advanced in this year. A comma F3 date period comma 3 comma 1. This is sanctioned in 2019-20. Is it NPA? When is it NPA? We look up the NPA date comma which it's in the date period comma 3 comma 1. Now it says NA because it is not NPA. So you can use this new function called whenever to ignore errors. So you can use if error formula. So if there is any error comes, what do you want to do? You can say if error, then you can set it as not NPA. So you can say it is you're automatically seeing it as not an NPA file. So now you can see automatically system has set which year is sanctioned, which year is NPA. So you can, in your loan summary, you can create by the way multiple copies of the pivots. I am just creating a pivot sanction to NPA period, because in LFR there is a question, are there any loans during the year which have become NPA are issued 12 months prior to the date of NPA? Very important question. So you should be able to do. So what I'm doing now is I am now getting, let me sanction year and NPA year. When is my outstanding? Okay. And I only want to see for NPA files, so I'll say is NPA. Yes, NPA. So you can see now the loans which have become NPA. Okay, there are a lot of loans. I will take the cutoff date till 2015 as old loans. So what I will do is till 2015, I will treat it as old loans, so that my audit range comes down. Now you can quickly see the loans which have become NPA. So I can say the percentage. So the loan 15-16 which has become NPA, percentage, convert it into percentage. Now here you are able to see 61% of the loans have become NPA in the year 2021, which is in the current year. So in the current year, these loans have become NPA. So owing to COVID, the loans have become NPA. When are these loans sanctioned? Let us look at when are these. Is there anything issue with these loans which have been sanctioned? I can check these loans which have been sanctioned. Are there old loans or the new loans? I can now notice that 32% of the loans sanctioned in 1920 have become NPA in 2021. 32% of the loans sanctioned in 1920 have become NPA 2021. And overall, let's look at overall category. If I look at overall category, the loan sanctioned so let's look at the overall category. So even if I look at overall category, 24% of the loans which have been sanctioned in 1920 have become NPA. So it indicates that okay, there was not sufficient due diligence done for the loans given in 1920. So you will get an idea that okay, if there are any loans, you can also do this type of loans. You can, once the data comes in the pivot format, you can do whatever the pivot date, whatever the thing you want to do, you can do that. And how do we use the graphs? In fact, I have given you a graph formula. Let me just show you with this pivot data, how do I get a graph? Assuming these are the loans that have been sanctioned during the year. These are the loans that have been sanctioned during the year. Now, I just want to see what is the pattern of the sanctioning. What is, let me just get the sanction date. Now look at the pattern. Let us see the pattern of sanctioning of the loans. So let me get all the months. And the amount sanctioned. So let's apply a simple insert a graph. Insert a graph. See, when you look at this data, you don't understand much. When you look at the numbers, it is difficult to read, interpret, and understand. But when you see it in a graph model, in a quick instance, any common man can tell in the month of March is like a huge spike. So generally the average lending is this. Suddenly in the month of March, just to meet the targets, they are issuing more loans, and which are resulting into bad loans. Now to prove our hypothesis, the loans which have become NPA, in which month they have been sanctioned. Let us look at that also. Let us look at the so that is why the pivots are always handy and helpful. What is the hypothesis we are making? The hypothesis is the loan sanctioned in the month of March are bad. So this is the overall lending. So I am just getting is it. Yeah. So now the loans which have been sanctioned, I am saying I'm taking yes NPA which is there. I'm just taking this, and let's take both by the way. Now the loans which are not NPA, if you look at the loans which are not NPA, you can see in the quarter ends they have been given, and there is no huge spike. Jan, March, July, November, everything is there. But the loans which are NPA, let us look at that. Now the loans which are NPA, you can see there's a spike which has come here. So looks like there is, owing to target the loans which are given, there's an NPA. Otherwise the curve is little flat to the bottom. So this is how one can also analyze and understand, get a simple hypothesis, the pattern in which the lending and everything which is happening. Before I close the session, the last example which I want to tell you is how to pick the data for audit. How to pick the data for audit, which files to take. Let us go back to here. We have how many loans? Let's say I will give loans to audit. We have basically totally 1,309 customers. You can see here on the bottom right of mine, 1,309 customers are there. So now how to audit this? So how to audit this? Let us look at that. Which file I have to pick for audit? Say out of 1,300, assuming this, say let's say 1,300 are sanctioned during the year, which file to audit? So I am now creating a simple the thing. Let's say I want to audit 100 files. I want to audit 100 files. Now, so let me assign a random value to audit. So to get a random value, basically allow system to randomly pick the file for you, is equal to rand open bracket and close bracket. It's a random value. In fact, the moment I do some operation, your random value is just changing. Can you notice that? Now to audit. Okay. To audit, I will say I'll pick first 100. If this row, the first row is less than 100, then yes, audit, else ignore. So I'm saying yes, audit, else ignore, and just always please freeze the data. And I am now copying whole thing. You may say, sir, where is the randomness in it? You have copied everything and first 100 only audited. Now just sort the data. Sort by this random value. Sort this by this random value. So sort formula is Alt DS. Alt DS. So to sort, it is Alt plus D plus S. Okay, sort by random. Please see, I'm saying sort by random. I'm selecting rand as the basis for my sorting. So I'm sorting by random value and I'll say okay. I didn't do anything, I just sorted. Let me apply a pivot of this. And next in the existing worksheet, I will say apply, give me a pivot here, finish. Let me get the loan type, borrower, and to audit. Look at this. System has automatically chosen the files which you want to audit and nothing, no biased. Like there were 190 housing loans, it said do 15 audit. There are 654 mortgage loans, it said pick 55. I only picked the top 100. I don't know how it got allocated. So system has chosen the percentage by itself. Like vehicle loan 15, it said okay, not required, and vehicle loan staff, there was one, it said okay, pick that one for the audit. Get the borrower name, you can easily see which one you want to select it for the audit. You can get it like to audit. I will say yes, audit. Now you can see it has given under each type of loan whom to be audited. System itself has randomly picked, allocated, and it has steered it. So now you can go to the branch manager and say, please do an audit. I want to do an audit for these files. Please get the files for review. So this is how, friends, you can use Excel. What I have just shown you is different formulas, but for each function, each aspect of your LFR which you have to report, you have to extract, put it as an action. You need to have working paper for each and everything that you are doing in the bank branch audit. I hope you got a fair idea of how to use Excel in the bank branch audit. Any questions to anyone so far? So just to sum up, what we have seen is all these formulas we have seen. Importing of data into Excel we have seen. After importing, remove unwanted rows and do neatly format it. Formatting, please freeze the headers, always freezing, and save the file as an Excel so that you are not losing the data. Keep the original file as such for accuracy and future reference. We have seen conditional formatting, we have seen pivot tables, we have seen if formula, we have seen Vlookup of the data, and we have seen the building graph. So with this, we have come to end of the session. I thank each one of you for taking your time out to upgrade your skills in the bank branch audit. Back to the host of the day, Manjunath sir.
Good evening, sir. Yes, it was a fantastic session, Venu sir. Definitely. I have upgraded myself about Excel skills again, especially with the same bank audit data, so that I can correlate as to what I should be doing and what I should not be doing. And especially some students and one of my partner wouldn't like to join because of this COVID pandemic. So they are good in Excel. So I can make use I can make use of them like this. Sitting at office, they can do many things for us, and then by the time we do physically verify some things, so these guys can do this research for us on Excel, and then yes, sir, it is a fantastic thing what you have shared, sir. I guess you would be sharing the PPTs.
Yes, I'll share.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to thank CA Venu sir for a splendid session on asset reclassification and MS Excel, some of the functions which will be very useful for our audit, bank branch audit, and definitely it would have immensely helped the students, and especially it has helped myself and my partners and my students. Thank you very much, sir, for your for taking out time to help us in this busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Bangalore branch, for giving the opportunity to me too.
Yes, sir, anytime, sir. And I would like to thank CICASA Bengaluru and the Bangalore branch of SIRCF ICI, VD Shetty sir, and then Shivaram Bhatt sir, for organizing this event, especially for students. Hope students have got upgraded themselves on the skill sets what do they already have. So once again, with this fourth day of the webinar for a student on bank branch audit has come to an end, and then thank you very much, everyone. Have good day. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, right.